Suvarnabhumi Airport. Next station, Suvarnabhumi Station. รถไฟฟ้าขบวนนี้ไปท่าอากาศยานสุวรรณภูมิสถานีต่อไปสถานีสุวรรณภูมิ
I'm heading to the airport. I'm going to do an experiment, and my friend suggested this. He said go to arrivals, look out for all the male solo travellers arriving, and try and guess why they're coming to Thailand, judged on their appearance and their age, because everyone's got their own idea of stereotypes, right? So it should be a bit of fun. I am, of course, only kidding. I could never do that. Standing at arrivals, staring at all them guys coming in, would have probably got my head kicked in at some point, or arrested by the cops, because I've just realised I'm still carrying a huge bag of green I got last night in Khao San Road. I was only joking about the weed. I haven't smoked for years and I've got no intention of starting again. I'm too old for that shit. Anyway, this video is a light-hearted look at stereotypes. So if you're woke, if you're easily offended, or if you're into all that snowflake crap, put it on hold and enjoy the video. Well, of course, I couldn't have done this without your help, and I put it out on social media a couple of weeks ago asking for contributions. I asked what are the most common expat, foreigner, Farang stereotypes in Thailand, and I got some pretty good suggestions and some new ones as well. So let's start at the very top here. Being stereotyped. Just get into any random taxi, and before you have time to tell the driver your destination, he says, "Do you want sexy lady?" I think that's probably confined to places like Nana, Cowboy and Pat Pong, or maybe on that stretch of Sukhumvit Road at night between Asok and Nana. I don't think taxi drivers will ask anyone that. Socks and sandals, mainly worn by older German men. That's quite common, yes. Probably not just German men though. Cut price sexpats and gap year English teachers, both trying to get as much sex and booze as possible as they can on 30,000 baht a month. Okay, here's a new one here. Yet another French bloke wearing tight trousers, hoping to start a drone advertising business. You'll meet him at many networking events. Another new one here. Pretend digital nomads who are really just English teachers online. Okay. Fat guys in beer brand vests sitting at Pattaya Beach. That is a classic stereotype, of course. 2-week tourist millionaires taking over the bar and making the girls less interested in me. I'm sure that's going to go on a lot more after July the 1st. Drunken ranting Scotsman. There are drunken ranting all nationalities in Thailand. This one's fairly new as well, but I have met a couple of these. The Farang Haiso wannabe. His new girlfriend is Thai Chinese and drives a car. Now he's dumped all his English teacher friends and posts selfies of himself sitting in the passenger seat. Okay, and the last one is the classic ex-special forces who says he can't talk about it, then talks about it. Stories that don't stand the most basic of scrutiny. Okay, that's a great list to kick us all off. So what about foreigners being stereotyped by Thais? It does go on, but what kind of stereotyping are we talking about here? I put this out on a discussion forum about a year ago and I got some interesting answers here. I'll read some of them out. Foreigners have been stereotyped for many years. Some of you could pass it off as innocent observation, but there is definitely some form of piss-taking involved. I know certain foreigners who like to think of it as very spiteful and negative all the time, but whatever way you look at it, it's no worse than when it's the other way around, is it? Here's a few examples. Farangs are all millionaires. They're all rich. In the past, this was quite a common assumption, but not so much nowadays. The old days when the exchange rates were more favourable, Thais saw foreigners spending money like water, tipping generously, living it up in expensive hotels and resorts, not really caring about double pricing at all, getting drunk every night, buying gold for girlfriends. But these days, Thais are definitely more clued up, and the cheap Charlie Farang is well and truly out in the open. Here's another one. One comment says here, "I'm seen as a walking ATM by my Thai friends." well, maybe that person is hanging out with the wrong kind of friends, or maybe he set the bar too high when he first met these Thai friends by bankrolling everything left, right and centre to try and impress them. Anyway, who knows? Here's a controversial one. Foreigners only like dark-skinned girls. This can be just an observation or a dig at certain groups of foreigners who hang around in bar areas. Who knows? But on the other hand, there is the cultural difference. In the West, they don't have a hang-up about dark skin, whereas here, there's a huge thing about dark skin. It's an obsession almost. Having dark skin can affect every aspect of someone's social life, relationships, even job prospects. So there's a difference there. And this final one, foreigners only eat pad thai and can't eat spicy food. Well, maybe for most first-timers in Thailand, that's the case. Western women get stereotyped here in Thailand, but to a lesser extent than guys. It doesn't go on as much as it used to. I remember years ago you'd hear guys say really sexist things about Western women coming to Thailand, saying like, you know, there's nothing here for Western women in Thailand, and there's nothing to attract them. You know, Western women aren't welcome here. But these were usually guys who had just got divorced in their home countries and had discovered Thailand for the first time. They thought Thailand should be some kind of exclusive paradise catering to men only. I had a friend who came here last year and he couldn't believe his eyes. You know, he's just come from a country where a lot of the women are a little bit more overweight than they are here. And he's walking around the shopping malls, on the SkyTrain and around the streets. And he says, Pat, I can't believe my eyes. I don't know where to look. There's all these regular women walking around with long legs, exotic looks, long black hair and slender figures. And I can't help walking around with my tongue hanging out. You know, he didn't get that back home. With stereotyping, particularly in a video like this, you are treading a fine line. But one thing this video isn't aiming to do is mock unfortunate stereotypes. I know people have a good laugh and talk about foreigners who have lost everything, fallen on hard times or fallen into alcoholism. And I'm certainly not going to get cheap laughs by saying stuff like, why do all foreigners marry bar girls? Because that kind of territory is someone's personal business. People laugh about suicides and talk about the Pattaya Flying Club. And I'm pretty sure that's just a form of gallows humour, as they say. There's no real spiteful intent meant. I read an article the other day about a foreigner who hung himself from his balcony in Sukhumvit Soi 34. Very unfortunate, I know, but another stereotype. If you've been a reader of the Pattaya Mail, you'll be well aware of the cartoons Life in Fun City by Mike Baird, a professional cartoonist and artist in his own right. They depicted life in Pattaya and expat life in general, but done with a twinkle in the eye, a bit like the dirty postcards you used to get at seaside resorts in the UK. My dad used to have a whole pile of them, and we chuckled as kids because we didn't quite understand what they were on about. Anyway, I'm going to show you a few, and hopefully it might raise a few eyebrows, but definitely give you a bit of a chuckle. I don't normally read the Reddit website, but I did read something on there a couple of months ago that was pretty amusing. It was called The Effect Thailand Has on Foreign Men. And I get the impression the person who started the thread was in it for trolling purposes, but I'll read a couple of the replies anyway. Here's one of them. Thailand turns certain guys into pussy-whipped men living in fear of their girlfriend's every whim or mood, usually because their life savings depend on it, as everything is in her name. I've met a guy like that. Next one. It makes certain guys who are in the autumn of their lives become prowling sexual predators along Sukhumvit Road who think they're young and handsome again and can get any girl. And they usually can get any girl, but as long as she's connected to the bar scene in some way. As a cashier, I suppose. And the last one here, everyone's met this guy. Makes them experts in all things Thai, but the only culture they know is the one that exists in Pattaya, Nana or Cowboy. They might get a glimpse of the real Thailand while on the bus to Ekamai and then on the SkyTrain to Nana. So that post I put on Twitter a couple of weeks ago asking for your stereotypes, there were a few new posts on it in the last few days, and I will read them out because I haven't heard of these ones. This first one, probably written by someone who didn't have a great time in Tonglor one evening. Why are so many of the English guys you meet in Tonglor smug tosspots? I'm sure there are smug tosspots in the expat community all over Thailand. This next one, staying on the smug theme, smug digital nomads who start websites to show off their lifestyle and their earnings. I think I know which website that could be, but I'm not going to mention it on here. This next one, maybe not so new, guys who ask you how you met your girlfriend. Probably says a lot about how they met their girlfriends. I think that's quite an intrusive question, to be honest. I have been asked that over the last few years. And if you're half Thai, people tend to stereotype you. Both Thais and foreigners do that. They assume maybe your mum had a dodgy past. And I've even been asked how they met, which I think is super intrusive. I'm sure you'll agree with that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like, share or comment. If you want to donate and support the channel, you can do so via the Buy Me a Coffee link on the screen or down below, or you can join the channel and become a member. That just leaves me to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.